Om Tat Sat. My humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman, to my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj, to all the sages and saints of this world, and to you, divine souls, watching today's satsang. Today we will be studying the final sutra of the Samadhi Pad. It is sutra number 51, and with this sutra we will conclude the Samadhi Pad section of the Raja Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Commentary by Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj and narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So let's get into this last and final sutra from the Samadhi Pad. It says, Tasyapi nirodhe sarva nirodha nirbijah samadhihi. Let's repeat. Tasyapi nirodhe sarva nirodha nirbijah samadhihi. That means tasya api, even of that impressions of Ritambhara pragya, nirodhe, having been controlled. Sarva nirodhat, it means all are controlled. Nirbija, as we explained in the previous sutras, means seedless, and samadhi is super consciousness. So the meaning of this last and final sutra is, even when these impressions of the intuitive intellect, which is pragya, have been controlled, there is a total control of all impressions, and consequently there arises the seedless samadhi, which means that first you generate pragya impressions, and then after they have totally calmed down everything else, they also extinguish themselves. But in that process, they have succeeded in getting you to the enlightened state. So the impressions arising from the intuitive intellect are called nirodha sanskaras, which means they are good for you, they are purifying, and they are taking you towards the journey of liberation. But even these must be overcome in order to attain supreme freedom or liberation. So while these are your friends, these impressions, even they eventually go away as you get enlightened. So when Sasmita Samadhi is perfected, a yogi develops Viveka Khyati, which means it's called discriminative knowledge, which is the same as Ritambara Pragya or intuitive knowledge. At this point, a yogi is firmly established in his yogic principles and in his advancement. So with the unfoldment of the intuitive intellect, a yogi develops dispassion even towards the chitta itself, which stores the unconscious impressions, as we always say, from many lifetimes of raga, dvesha, anger, hatred, all those things. And so once that happens, that state is called para-vairagya or extreme dispassion. And that happens as the yogi advances in his meditative process. By the forces of para-vairagya or extreme dispassion, a yogi promotes more nirodha sanskaras, so he keeps on generating more positive, shubh, auspicious sanskaras which destroy his negatives within him. So these act like the fire that consumes all other impressions. So these are positive. You want all the other negative impressions to go away in your advanced state. A yogi then begins to experience niralamba samadhi or seedless state. It doesn't need any support, which means now you are at that point where it puts an end to the seed of the world process. As we have explained before, think of the seed now being roasted, which means even if it contacts the ground, even if rain comes on it, even if you put soil in it, doesn't matter. The seed will never sprout. And that is that state we are discussing here. A yogi determines the increase of his nirodha samskaras by experiencing the rapid decrease of the outside samskaras, outgoing samskaras of the mind. So that is your test. You start to enjoy going within, enjoying the subtle experiences of your consciousness. He moves from silence to boundless silence, so he experiences bliss that is hard to describe, from peace to unfathomable peace. and from fullness to boundless fullness. So this is that state that cannot be put into words. It just has to be experienced, and thus the term pragya. So just as a fire is extinguished after it consumes its fuel, so while we keep on putting fuel, the fire will keep on flaming, but if you feed it nothing, it will feed and then it will calm down and get extinguished by itself. The same thing happens with the Nirodha samskaras. They first extinguish all the other samskaras, and then when all the outgoing impressions are removed, they themselves go away also. And when that happens, that state is called the state of mukti, liberation, kaivalya, self-realization, God realization. You may give it any name, but eventually, essentially, that is what you experience. So the chitta that we have, the unconscious, exists for two purposes. One is to give you bhoga, or the enjoyments to the soul, so you experience pleasure and pain. Bhoga is both pleasure and pain, positive as well as negative experiences. And the second thing is apavarga, which means to give you liberation from the fetters of karmas, actions, and from the cycle of birth and death. So from bhoga, a yogi now is moving towards apavarga. And when a yogi attains the twofold purpose of the chitta, his chitta then returns to its source, prakriti, or nature. So therefore, the magician's magic has been discovered. You know how the trick works of Maya, and therefore you have transcended Maya. A yogi attains liberation during his life itself, which is this concept we call Jivan Mukti. Jivan is life, Mukti is liberation. So liberation while you are in your bodily form. So when the prarabdha karma, or karma that sustains the present body, is exhausted, that yogi leaves the body and he attains disembodied liberation, which means since he doesn't have the body anymore, it's called Videha Mukti, which means Mukti or liberation without a physical body. So thus ends the first chapter known as Samadhi Pad in the Raja Yoga Sutras of Patanjali Maharishi. So this is with great blessings we have concluded all 51 sutras. I have created a playlist also for this whole chapter Samadhi Pad for serious aspirants, because I have many videos in my YouTube channel. Those of you who have not subscribed to it, if you subscribe, you will find a wealth of information about Vedanta and spiritual philosophy, the mysteries of Sanatana Dharma, and all kinds of knowledge. But if you're just interested in this Patanjali Sutras for now, if you're a serious yoga student, you can just go to that playlist, and for each chapter I will create a separate playlist which will make it a lot easier for you to maneuver through this whole process in my YouTube channel. You can navigate a lot easier. My next chapter we will be starting, since we have concluded Samadhi Pad, we will be starting Sadhana Pad. And as I have told you before, Sadhana Pad is for everybody, regular people who want to get into meditation, who want to start the process. So we will demystify all the terms of yoga, and for a beginner what he should be doing, and so on. But we have now of course seen what the ultimate looks like. So now that was the goal, and now we will actually walk on that journey towards that goal. So I hope you enjoy the next chapter which is coming up tomorrow, and we will be starting, it is called Sadhana Pad, and again we will be starting from Sutra number 1, and I think it has about 55 sutras in it. So as you can see, this is a lifelong study for many people, fully understanding the Raja Yoga Sutras of Patanjali Maharaj. So the way we are explaining this in short under 10-minute segments for you, so you can digest them, understand them, but it requires your dedication, focus, practice, and These will be available to you anytime you feel like referring to anything, or if you have questions that come out of your experiences, please feel free to share them or ask, and I'll be happy to guide you further or share my knowledge with all of you. Um, but please subscribe to this channel, and anybody who's interested in yoga may find this invaluable tool. Actually, some of my disciples are giving me extremely positive feedback, and some serious ones are actually even who are teaching others are sharing this knowledge, and a lot of people have rekindled their yoga practice who got inspired by this profound wisdom and knowledge. I personally don't take credit for any of this. This is coming from our ancient rishis, munis, our Sanatan Dharma Vedas, and all the knowledge that our Guru has come up with. And I am merely an instrument in the divine plan who is taking that knowledge, organizing it, and hopefully explaining it to you in simple terms so it makes practical sense to you in your daily lives. So if you're liking it, please share, subscribe, and continue to share this wisdom, because this is not for any personal gain or personal reason. It is to help humanity. It is to make us a better planet, a better human being, and to bring happiness instead of frowns and anger. Remove that and bring faith, love, and compassion in everybody's face. Om Tat Sat.